Hi everybody, just doing a little walkthrough of another book right here, Warhammer Armies Bretonnia, the Bretonnian Army book. I've never really played the Bretonnian Army. I dabbled in it a little bit. If you really want to see an army that looks really good, go look over at Dan Booman, his channel. He has a really nice looking Bretonnian army, but I played against a few over the years, and we'll just kind of delve into this 4th edition book. We got Armies of Bretonnia. Here we go. Some nice looking armies here. You always look at these books and you're always like, man, it doesn't look like you need a lot of miniatures to play this army. Then again, when you think about it, a lot of the points for the Bretonnian army is wrapped up in their knights. Morgan Le Fay, kind of the old, little bit of history tossed in there. Table of contents. It's a really nice picture. Land of Bretonnia. It's what, southwest of the Empire, if I remember right. A little bit of history with it. Yeah, here we got the different areas of Bretonnia. Oh, like over here is the Empire. Talks about all the different areas and zones, ports. Definitely has a French feel to it. Like I've always said, is that the Warhammer Fantasy is actually just a mirror image of Earth set up in the Eye of Terror, area of chaos. That's what I always looked at it. We got the history of it, where it came from. All those different wars. The war in Arabia. The affair of the false grail. Okay, story. So if you're a fluff monster and you like reading about stuff, there's some really good fluff. Most of the time, like when I was looking at Bretonnia, I always like went straight into just looking at what it takes to build an army for it. And then you have your rules of heraldry for creating your army. You can have it look like that. Really nice looking. And you have your different colors, symbology for your setting them up. Like most of the ones I was going to go with when I was painting them, it's like I started them off with like solid color, and you paint in the different other colors. So if yellow, go with black, that type of deal with my guys that I was doing. That's about putting the base colors is about as far as I ever got with mine. A Knights Errant. I have a small little force. It's like I got a lot of knights where I can throw out there, build a pretty big force. I never did put out any or put any money into the men at arms. Thought about it, and it's like lots of archers, lots and lots of archers. Knights of the Realm. These are the fancy guys. Like when you think of the Knights of the Realm, you know, like King Arthur's court, you know, you see all the movies with these guys in full plate with all the cool stuff all over them. This would be the Knights of the Realm. And like I said, back here we have the Knights Errant. Or basically, you're like your yeoman type knights. Really cool. They have all. It's like when you look at Dan Booman's army, this is what he's been doing mostly, is painting up his force of Knights of the Realm. Really cool looking. And we got the Men of Arms, which are basically your sword and board type guys with archers. I got lots of archers. A lot of them out there on the table if I wanted to. I think I have 32 plus 14. Got 46 archers. So I got a few. Just a few run out there and cause trouble. You got your characters. You always have one on, is that a griffin? And you have to have your few of your character types, and you put your little bit of history into your questing knights. Those are the ones that are in the Grail Knights. So these, the questing knights and the Grail Knights, are the ones that are really decked out. You see, these guys are just what you really think about what you have when it comes to like King Arthur's court style. You know, it's like they put in all the movies, even though in history time frame they would just be in basically chainmail, and that'd be it. No less plate armor and stuff. The chivalry codes. Becoming a knight. You have to go through. Squires and men at arms. You have your code. Rules of honor for your knights. Your Grail Knights, questing knights, tournaments, style stuff that you put together. Alright, bestiary. Alright, so you have your Knights Errant, which is your basic knights. Then you have your Knights of the Realm, your questing knights, and Grail Knights. Is that you're going up in abilities and everything that they have. I was basically running rampant in this area. It's like most of my knights would have been Knights Errant, and with a handful of Knights of the Realm. And we got Bretonnian war horses. Really cool picture there. And your squires, your men of arms. Alright, special rules. Knightly virtues. You pay for all your virtues. It costs you points, give you some abilities. When it comes to the game. Lady of the Lake. Supposedly, Lady of the Lake is the one that had Excalibur. There's a show, I think it was Cursed. It's supposed to be kind of taking place. I think the main character, she's supposed to end up becoming the Lady of the Lake. I think that's what it's going to be like. Blessings. Alright, so then you have the lance and the arrowhead formation. Alright, so this kind of shows you how the maneuvers are supposed to work. But in most cases, whenever I played against Bretonians, it didn't work so well. In theory, it's supposed to work good. But... and your flanks. Basic rules and maneuvering, shooting bonuses. Alright, here we get into the meat and potatoes of the book. Really cool picture there. Alright. Tells you how many magic items each type of character can have. Unit size. Leaders. Alright, here we go. Your equipment list right there. Types of armor, what it gives you for bonuses. So cavalry with barding +1 save. So basically, shield, light armor, sword, and board. Basically, you got guys running around with a 6 save. Sword and board with armor 5, heavy armor 4, and then cavalry with barding. It's a +1, so you're running around with 2s or 3s. 3 save. Alright. So up to 75% of your force can be characters. Knights have to be at least 25% of your force. So that's pretty easy if you got a lot of horsemen. Your commoners, basically this is your men of arms. Have to make up to 50%, which isn't too hard. Typically, if you have a good force, you're going to have a lot of that. And then, in my case, when I was looking at building my army, it was like, all right, I have these many points wrapped up in less than 500 wrapped up in archers, and the rest of my force is going to be like one character lord on a horse, and then the rest would be all knights. So it's fairly easy to build a force out of it. Alright, so basic general, 100 points. You're going to have a battle standard in one of your units. Typically it works good to have a battle standard, BSB, and run around for your morale purposes. And I usually have one type of hero in every unit, or a champion, somebody that can go out there and jump out and take the brunt of somebody coming in, intercept while the rest of your troops do their job. And Mr. Wizard, I have plenty of wizards. I usually pull them off from the war colleges that you found in my Bretonnian army. There's a little bit overlapping for armies here. Alright, then we got, I don't have any Grail. You can have one unit of Grail Knights at 45 points apiece. They get kind of spendy, so if you even had 10 of them, now you're taking 400. So if you got a 2,000 point game, roughly 1/4 of your force could be, with just 10 knights, is going to be, and their champion with the unit is going to be a chunk of change right there and then. And your questing knights can be pretty expensive. You can have up to one unit of them. Knights of the Realm are 39. And so you have a small unit of Knights of the Realm. It's kind of like your shock. Typically, if you're building a force, you're going to have it. This would be your shock force, unless you're running in. You had back then purchased the Grail Knight unit. Then you're going to have some good troops with it. But typically for me, most of my stuff 1 and 2 was going to be Knights Errant. So you're basically looking at just basic troops, not what you call something to write home about. Not really great, not bad, but they got a 2 save, so they can smash into stuff pretty good and stand up in combat fairly well, unless they're getting hit by war machines and other stuff of that nature. You just hope you're not rolling 1s when you're getting hit. Alright, here you got your commoners, mounted squires. Basically, they're kind of expendable type troops, and it's used for harassment mostly. And your squires, your men at arms, 5 points apiece. They're really cheap, and then you could give them some shields and armor. So for 8 points, You know, you're going to be guys running around with probably just swords, shield, and armor with a 5 save for 8 points. That's not bad if you have them. Then bowmen, you run around 8 points. And in my case, you know, I had a whole bunch when I was planning on just like saturating the entire area. And if you wanted to give them light armor so they'd have at least a 6 save, you know, you can up to 10 points apiece. So it's one nice thing where you can sit back and just start hammering your enemy with a lot of missile fire while your knights go stomping in and smashing into formations and trying to rout stuff. That was basically the plan was at the time. And monsters, you can have dragons, griffins, hippogriffs, manticores. Hey, remember my manticores? Well, yes, they can be part of my Bretonnian army, so they got a lot of action. Now, later, in the later editions, they had Pegasus knights on Pegasi, so those were the kind of nice ones. And you could have a wyvern. Or, you know, typically I was planning on using, like, my 2 frickin' frack, the 2 mana cores that I always have for my forces. That would be, you know, my hit and run type of monsters to go in, cause trouble. Right, special characters. And look at that, 505 points for just one model. But, you know, one fourth of your army is made up of one character. But he's that big guy that's on the griffin, riding around, going into battle, stomping everything. Repens de Lions. I can't even pronounce it. 300 in the Baron. And rolling. Like, see, you're seeing stuff being kind of pulled out of history right there. With a little twist in the names. And we got a whole bunch of... we got Bertrand, the Brigand. But basically, it's like throw him out there with if you got a whole bunch of archers like I do. It's kind of the idea. So they got all kinds of basic knights and stuff to add to the force. And we had the Green Knight. A little spendy. There's 70, but with some good abilities. You know, we're talking good weapon skill and stuff. Morgan Le Fay, chunk of change, but she was good. Let's see, what was she? Level. Off the top of my head, I can't see where her unit. She rides a unicorn, I believe. Yeah, she rides a unicorn. There's a bunch of spells to go with it. She's level 4. Level 4 sorcerers, or wizard, however you want to call her. Enchantress, as they like to call her. Level 4. And they go into another thing of tactics to give you an idea what's going on. And they give you a sample army in the back. And they always push in their plastic crack and metal. All their different army books. Who doesn't love flipping through army books? Got a whole bunch of them. Back in the day, I was like buying every single army book as they came out just because I wanted to. It's like, hey, cool. And everybody wanted to buy an army and build an army. So it's like you go to the shop and you'd be playing against people and you know, always talking smack with each other. And there's the Empire over here, and this is Bretonnia. So this is where they're right on the border. with each other. And there we go. That's it. That's the entire Bretonnian Army book in a nutshell. Not a bad book when it first came out. Instilled a lot of people to want to play knights. You know, it's like when you're thinking fantasy, this is kind of like when you seen that cover with that knight on the front, it's like, ooh, cool, must have. So there you go. Hope you guys like it. And we'll see you in the next one. All right, everybody. Just going to be kind of showing what it was the start of my Bretonnian army. As you can see here, talking about it, this is what I was using for my Bretonnians. Big old blob of knights. Basically, the backbone of my army. You know, these are supposed to be the knight errant, and for my force. If you look in the book here, the different knights. You have the knights of the realm, and then the knight errant. So basically, these were kind of like my knights of the realm right here. This unit right here, kind of more heavy set guys. And these would be the knights errant. And these will be my mounted squires right here. These little guys. Simple, easy. Now, when I was building them, it's like this back row of basically when you set up in like the arrowhead formation or the lance formation, whatever it was. And I had enough to set up at least 2-3 of these things. So they're just kind of in big blobs at the moment. And then I had my basic bowmen, 8 points apiece, expendable. And their job was just sit back with their bows and set up the units in 2 big blob or 3 blobs, and just rain arrows down on your opponents and pincushion them while these guys would come smashing in. And Frick and Frack back here, these 2 guys, my 2 chimeras, were the ones that were the flank harassers along with the mounted squires. You have your flankers right here with all these. And then you had, like I said, these would be the guys that would go in and do the most damage as possible as they went smashing in. Someday I'll get these guys painted up. I had been looking at Perry Miniatures and see if they have some men-at-arms that would start making something out of your basic men-at-arms, sword and board type troops. Because right now it's like cost you an arm and a leg to build anybody, you know, the typical Bretonnian troops. Everything's going for a high price nowadays about all the fantasy, which 5 years ago when they discontinued fantasy, this stuff was going for really cheap, and I should have picked up a bunch of stuff just to add it to my forces, but never did. But that is my entire force. It's really small, not very elaborate, nothing to write a home about, but you know, it is what it is. All right, we'll talk to you later.